Janine. Well, how many quilts do you make? And she said, she thought for a minute, and she said, about 1,000. So today, she's going to be sharing with us a new series of quilts that she has been working on. 5 of these quilts, I believe, were featured at the recent exhibition in Phoenix, this Quilt.com. You might be familiar with that. It's a showcase of contemporary quilts. And it's her word series that she's working on, the word quilts. And that's what she's going to be sharing with us today. So please welcome my Janine.
So I guess I get the mic, or I can have that also. Well, thank you.
I'm going to interrupt you just a minute because they're complaining on Zoom that they can't hear. So the louder, the better. That's all I'm going to say.
Not even have but, thank you for having me on your first in-person meeting. It's so much nicer in person. That Zoom is just not ever quite as satisfying. So I'm a quilter, and by definition, a quilt is 3 layers. It's a top, a back, and a middle, and it's held together in some form or other. And most people think of quilts as fabric, although they can be paper, other things too. So my quilts are fabric. They're a top, which is where the design is, a back, which is fabric, a center that's some fluffy stuff called batting, and they're held together with stitches, which are called quilting stitches. So I have been quilting for a really long time, and I've had a lot of ideas, and some of them get good ideas. But this time I had a really good idea, as it turned out. And you don't know that when you start, but I had been given an old 1950s quilt top that wasn't quilted, and it had charming fabric, but it was poorly made. It didn't match, none of the seams lined up. You know, when you're a trained quilter, your precision and matching points, and anyway, it really didn't have much going for it, except for the fabric was so fabulous. So I decided I was going to quilt the heck out of it so it could lay down, and I would just enjoy the fact that it was pretty fabric, but not very well done. But I got it all quilted, and I love how things didn't match up, that there was something about this imprecision that it was like, wow, I think I'm going to loosen up. I got to like be a little bit more frivolous here and not be so like concerned about making everything line up. But it's easier said than done when that's your kind of training. So I needed some kind of parameters to work with. I needed some kind of rule that I could loosen up in. And somewhere in my mind, I dredged up this memory of the way my dad showed me how to write when I was 3rd or 4th grade. So I have brought a sample along. This is a word that's very common in Tucson. Did anybody see it? Okay, so that's the, excuse me, I'm not used to having all this stuff. Okay, so
there's a stand there for the microphone. That's easier for you.
oh well, and this is the only time that I'll be your user. Oh, thank you. All right. So you guys are looking at this part. Isn't that what catches your eye right off? But it's this part where the word is. So it's sun. S-U-N. So I said, okay, I can get loose and incorporate this technique where you don't see the word as the first thing, and give that a try and see if I can make a quilt out. So where's my lovely assistant here? So since I can't do this holding right in front of the unveiled, and she'll stand right here in front. We haven't figured this out. So my first word was Mima, which is my grandma word. And I thought it was fairly successful in that I hid the word quite well. Can you find it? Yes. It's all the red part. A, and then it just keeps repeating. It turns upside down, goes across like that. And I get a little slopey within this unit, which is called the block. And that's as good as I got. But I thought, well, this has got potential. So I went on to find another word. So, oh, yeah, all right. We're gonna figure this out. I'm gonna just throw them over here. So I said, okay, what's another word I can do? And this is kind of like 2019 is kind of the timeline on this. I like to go to the thrifts for most of my fabric. So I found this nice shirt, this blue shirt, and since we fish, I said, oh, it looks like water. I'm gonna make one that says fish. You see fish? So what draws your eye is this bright part back here. And the word fish is F-I-S-H. So it just repeats itself in blocks across like that. And the quilting stitches that hold this all together are little fish. And Annie actually gave me this backing fabric. So I think it maybe was your mom or something like that. Okay, so that was not very loose either, but nonetheless. So then I had this next idea and I said, oh, I'm never going to top this. It's the best thing I'll think of in this way. So I came up with this. You guys see it? Home. H-O-M-E. And I thought, oh, I'm so pleased with myself because I thought of the windows and doors where the background is, because that's what you look at first. And then the letters are actually there, but they're not just glaring me in the face. Well, this is really fun. And I kind of pondered a little while and I said, I'm still not getting loose. So I came up with the next one. I pulled it off. I got loose. This is a phrase. It's a phrase. It's not just a single word. So look at the buildings. And perhaps we're a little bit too distant on this, but this is an H-O-M-E. And then it's sweet. And then home sweet home. So the rest of this up here has no words in it. It's just part of the aesthetics. But I did get loose. Yes. That was very, very satisfying. So I'm out fishing with my husband. I deck cancel, and I've been doing it for 40-some years. And I realized we have a really limited vocabulary with each other. Apparently, the only word we were using was it. You know, it was just like, okay, it, time to get up, it, time to run the gear, it, clean the fish, it, I don't know, we were just, and I said, okay, that's my next word, is gonna be it. And I had a collection of solid fabrics, but I never had used them a whole lot as the whole quilt. So I decided I would give it a try, and I'm pretty loose too. So I like how the solid colors look more poster-like than the prints and the plaids are more homey, more quilty kind of, and this gives it more of a, like a modern poster-like, I guess. Anyway, I came up with this little block, which is a tessellation. it's an I and a T, and then it's an upside down I and a T, and it's all different size units. And I was quite pleased with that. Anyway, then, no, okay. We didn't practice this at all, and I wasn't sure how. Then I heard somebody say this phrase, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna just, oh, do you want me to hold my? Oh, here. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm back to using some men's shirts and things from thrift. I got a little solid fabric in there. So these are just kind of random sized blocks that are cross cut. Can you see the word? It's actually a phrase too. Hi, mom. So this is hi, it's pretty easy to see. And then this is an exaggerated M, O, M. And then it says hi again, and it turns upside down and it goes across. And so I felt like I was finally getting a little looser. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, then our quilt guild in Sitka has an annual quilt show, and we have a theme for the quilt show, and this was 2020. And I decided I wanted to make a quilt for the theme. So this is like February of 2020. And I had gone to QuiltCon, which was the big international quilt show in Austin. It turned out to be the last big quilt show in the whole world, because I believe it was March 9th, we all got shut down. So it was promised it was going to be like 2 weeks. Yeah. So I had a mom who was kind of strict about this, but if you got sick and missed school, you could not go out of the house until the next time school started. She wasn't the only one. Okay, well, this happened to me right before Christmas vacation in 7th grade, and she was serious. So I had a fabulous grandma, and grandma came over and she helped me cut out from a cereal box a square of, cardboard, and I had a pencil and I drew around scraps. And I had been sewing for a long time, making doll clothes and things. So I knew how to sew. Anyway, grandma got me started, and over Christmas vacation, I made 3 quilts. So my first series group, I was just totally like transformed by making quilts. I think I was one of the nerdy kids, because I was way ahead of my time. This was like probably 1959 or something like that when I was doing this. Anyway, so there I am, and I got this like time in my sewing room where I didn't have to do anything else. I thought, oh, 2 weeks, okay. So I had this idea already kind of started and some fabrics going, and so this is my 2020 quilt, my first of the pandemic quilts. And then all the rest of the quilts, I made 40 of these word quilts so far, have been during this pandemic time. So this is tricky because it is Roman numerals. It still says 2020 though. So MMXX is 2020. So we can see all sorts of sizes of M's and all sorts of sizes of X's, but they all say that. So that's my little kind of parameter where I the words in there, and I hope it's not the first thing you see. So it's really fun. So there I am in my sewing room. I got this whole closet full of clothes I bought from the thrift to recycle, and so what should I do next? I have a granddaughter who is now my grandson, who was named Amy and now is named Santos. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna make this be both, groups. I gotta tell you, I decided to display things how I thought they looked most appealing, not necessarily so how you could read the word. So let's see how we turn this like, okay, if you would put this side to the top, then we can read it. Okay, so you can probably see Santos pretty easily across here. It's upside down in here and right side up here. So can you see Amy?
Not yet.
Amy is this Hawaiian fabric that goes all the way from top to bottom in the background of the, and here's the M, and then here's the Y.
Oh.
So Amy Santos will get this eventually. So I live in Alaska most of the time. And the Alaska flag is a blue with yellow stars on it. So I picked the colors of the Alaska flag. Our area code is 907. So I decided I would throw that in. So I know you can read
Yeah,
Alaska.
I can see it.
Can you see the 907 now that you saw where Amy was? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here it's this big blue print in the background, 9, 0, and a 7.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm getting to see all of that.
So
Oh.
I'm having a really good time. I'm like cranking these out every couple of weeks now because I've got this guilt-free time in my
Oh
soul.
my.
Okay, my favorite drink is
Martini.
tea. Tea.
Oh, tea.
Yeah. So here I got all these solid fabrics, and I also had this gift of a box of thread that was all multicolored, like red and yellows and greens and stuff. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna quilt and match every fabric with the thread. And it was really fun, and I was just burning through the threads. So can you guys see T?
Yes.
Here's the T, and a big E, and the A, and then down here at the bottom, here's the T. And then A lays on its side. So you know what we all did for shopping when this was going on was Amazon. So I, who never buy anything new, hardly ever, went on Amazon and bought 104 different colors of thread because I was enjoying matching so much, and I was just going through this box that was a gift so fast. So there I am. I've got fabric and thread. So my
Are you quilting on your domestic machine?
Yeah,
Or you have a-
yeah. I have a Bernina of just a regular, actually it's 25 years old now. So this is kind of on the same vein as tea, and it's a word that's really common in Sitka, Alaska. So if you would hold my edge up. It's lowercase letters this time. Okay. That part. It's rain. Rain is what happens a lot in Southeast Alaska. So it's lowercase. So here's the R, the A, here's the I with the dot over the top, and N over here somewhere. And then if you turn it on the other edge, there's a repeat of the word rain. But I quilted all these little raindrops and rivulets, and I used all my lovely matching red. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we can. It's the fabric. It's just a print. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I had been to QuiltCon where all this modern quilting was going on, and some of the quilts were quite stark and simplistic. I thought I'm not usually that kind of, but I wanted to try being a little simpler. And I also like the fact that I saw a lot of really dance quilting. So, boy, we got it. Anyway, so I picked a word that, here we all are. This is the edge that you hold this up. Okay, it's us. Women. Okay, so if you look at this salmon color, this is the W-O-M-E-N. So the letters are all exaggerated, but they're there. And I really, I like this kind of concept of doing this block and then removing that part to get the letter to happen, but it's not loose. I mean, I've lost my looseness. So now we're moving on to our next. All right, so this is sort of the same idea, but it got loose. All right, so because it rains a lot in Southeast Alaska, somebody said, why don't you like do one that makes the sun come out? So I said, okay, I'm gonna do sunny, but it didn't look like I wanted it to if I had it so you could read the words. So if you would turn this over with the bottom at the top. Now you can see the S. I had to lay the ends on their sides because it just didn't look it. And then here's the Y. So I got sunny, I got loose. All right, what do we have next? Okay. Yeah, I ended up gating all the backs of the quilt with the actual gate because every quilt has the little label on it, and it tells you what date I finished it, where I made it, and what number it is in my word quilt series. And this did turn into a series that I didn't anticipate when I started this. But okay, now you see it. Okay, so this is just my dad's way of writing. I mean, exactly. So it's the background is the letter, and the black is just the background itself. We have a lot of ravens at my house, and they are the most clever birds and the most pesky. Anyway, I decided I was gonna make a raven voodoo quilt because the darn ravens were digging up all of our garden. And one day I went for a walk and I know this raven followed me. And it sat up on this lamppost while I was doing this kind of circuit walk. And it was calling this same sound to this other raven that was not right there. It was a little ways away. So then I got done. I walked home. The raven I know followed me. I got home. Every single strawberry plant had been dug up. And I know that raven was just telling the other one. So that was my voodoo quilt. All right, so this is, okay, another one where you can't read the word in this position, but it just looks better to me. And it is a very lovely word called welcome. So if you would, let's see, we gotta have this over there, just like that. This one. Okay. So, yeah. We didn't make this. So, okay. Now can you see welcome? Yeah. You're getting the hang of this. But I'm feeling good about how I finally evolved to being loose. Thank you. Well, I have this really big collection of men's shirts, and I just decided I wanted to sew with them because here we are. I'm still in my sewing room, and I picked a word that actually, it's two words that would be black and white, because I wanted to use black and white. So, can you see it?
Salt and pepper.
Yeah, salt and pepper. So, up here we've got salt, and then if you turn it over, peppers, the other way over. Yeah. And the red is just because I need something to sparkle it up. Oh, yeah, that's kind of great fabric. That's just the print. Yeah. And then I also have a lot of prints in my collection. And I mean, here we are, we're stranded, and I'm just like having fun. I'm not like trying so hard anymore to like see where this goes. It's just fun. My son lives here. He has, I'm gonna put a blue flag, the Guadalajara Grill restaurants. Do you ever go? Okay. He's got 3 of them. His ex-wife has 2. Anyway, he sent me a bottle of his salsa from the restaurant. And I said, oh, salsa, okay. So if you turn this with that, this is kind of my chili peppery. So here's the S, the A, the L, and then the S, and then this is an upside down A. And it's got a nice sparkly back too. Then the election was coming around. So this is, what's our date on this? The October 23rd, 2020. And so I decided I would make a quilt sort of on the Alaska flag colors. And so can you see both? I think it's pretty easy. So VOTE. And then the Alaska flag has the Big Dipper and the North Star, but usually it's in gold, and I just threw those on for heat of something. Anyway, our polling place had early voting, and they hung this in the polling place, and I got to be on the front page of the paper. So then I went to the grocery one day. And I'm still having fun and just experimenting with it. So I said, oh, move over Andy Warhol. I'm going to make a soup can. So this is.
That's the name back here, move over Andy.
So it's just like the same coloration as the tomato soup can. And this is my dad's way of writing where the letter is in the background. So there's the S and then soup. I just keep repeating soup. There's more soup and soup. So this is a novelty one time when we kind of sort of try it out just for fun. And my a friend who had teenagers was telling me I should make a quilt that said no, because that was all the kids ever said. But I didn't want to be too negative, so I said, I'll make one that says yes, no. And so then I thought, oh, yes and no, I can do the compass rose because I'm thinking boat stuff. So I had an N and a E and an S and O. And then I put 2 Y's together, it looked like a W. So that was, so there's just all sizes of yes and no. But what's kind of sweet is the grandma from 7th grade that helped me make a quilt. I have 2 of her fabrics from the scrap head. So this shamrock and this one with the little horses on it was grandma's. So, and this one looks quilty. It doesn't look modern. It's like a bed quilt. So then we thought that we could come down and have Thanksgiving with our kids. And we came and we ended up having FaceTime. They had dinner over on the east side and we had dinner in our house downtown with our little phones looking at each other. Anyway, my son's got 7 kids. And I said, okay, well, I can't see them. I'm going to make a quilt with my grandkids in it. So can you see a word in it? You look at their faces. That's the only place it is. So it's a 7-letter word and it's B, E, the eyebrow, C, and this is a lowercase a, U, S, and eyebrow E. So because, just because. Anyway, the kids were quite upset because I gave them unibrows. And they don't, any of them have blonde hair, they all have brown hair. So they were a little critical about that. So we decided we would go back to Alaska and just wait until we could all be together. And so we flew back to Alaska. And here I am with my men's shirts again. So I had some dark and light, and I did. This is a colloquial spelling of one of the words, but this is J, E, A, Y, and then flip it over. And it's night, N-I-T-E. Then it was Christmas was coming. I had seen this fabric print that was a white background with just kind of big bronze color. And I said, oh, I'm gonna sort of mimic that. And I'm Norwegian heritage, and Jul in Norwegian is Christmas, so it's J-U-L. So I came up with this. So can you see? Yeah. But I love this. I thought, oh wow, this is the most loose, best, like creative that I've come up with yet. And I just kind of latched onto this big swoopy applique idea. So, okay.
It also looks like you have an amour.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. That was just kind of fill in the background part. So we got vaccinated, and Alaska was kind of way ahead of things. That we were the first vaccinated, the vaccination the end of December, and then by the end of January we had finished our second run and we came back down. So I said, boy, I'm gonna say goodbye to 2020. So this is adios. So we have A, D, I, O, and an S on its side. So adios to 2020.
But you did all of those in 2020 then.
Oh my gosh. I was having a really good time. I didn't backhand. I mean, I was off the boat. I was sort of just out of my usual realm of having to work. Okay, so then I got this idea because I really appreciated during this whole time that I had friends, and we weren't seeing each other in person, but we were keeping in touch, and it really kind of helped the whole thing. Anyway, if you would hold that other side, yeah, that was under that side. Okay, this is friend. I couldn't get the S to work, so this is a very exaggerated F, R, I, E, N, and D. Friend. So I got it done, and I showed it to my grandchildren, and they said, it looks like bacon. But I still appreciated my family, so I said I would do a quilt to honor that. So this is the next quilt. It's kind of a little bit on the version of the salsa quilt, so it's kind of exaggerated floral. Can you see family? Yeah. A down here in this mushroom kind of thing. Or no, that's here's the A, and here's the I, L, and a Y. And all my 104 different colors of thread got used in this. Then my granddaughter Anna got engaged to this very nice guy named Ian, and they decided that they would have an in-person picnic sort of engagement party. And I said, okay, I'm gonna make a quilt to commemorate that. So this is back to my dad's lettering again. Can you see any words in there? Look on the color part. So Ian, I, A, N, and Anna, A, N, A. And then if you flip it over, it's three pieces there. It means to get in the polka dots and the little kind of light colored chevrons that are just for artistic license. So my quilt group in Sitka decided they would do a challenge. We finally got to meet in person, which is like, wow, it was so good. That we would do a mini quilt, since we didn't have much time to do this, that was only blues and one neutral color. So I did this that was said blue. So you can read the blue down here, E-L, blue, E, and if you turn it over, there's a blue here and a blue here. So you don't really see the words right off. You see the fabric that has colors in it, but they're there. So our next quilt show coming up this year is 2022. So we decided to have 2 as our theme for the quilt show. So I had made this quilt kind of on the order of the very first Christmas quilt. And it says to T-O-O, T-W-O, and T-O. So it's an upside down T, and a big O, and then it's a kind of a cursive T-W-O, and then it's on its side T and a big O. So I just have been finding my words, and I do a big transparency of how I want the word to fit in there, and then the rest of it I fill in afterwards, just artistic license. So I got this all done, and I was out walking, and I ran into another friend, and I showed her a picture of this, and she said, "Oh, why don't you do choo-choo, like a little ballerina skirt?" So I said, "Oh, that's such a good idea." And I went home and I said, "Oh, okay, so here's a T and a U and a T and a U. Then, if you do Roman numerals on its side, we have Roman numeral 2, 2. So I got 2. And then I said, Morse code. I can do Morse code. So the little dots and dashes are also, so here is this root, it's 2 dots and 3 dashes is 2, so it repeats itself twice, 2, 2, and then the different colorways are just repeated. So that was so fun. Okay. Then, so the pandemic seems to be kind of like at least letting you do something reasonably normal. And we had already planned this Viking River cruise to Eastern Europe. And we got to go last fall, and we went to 5 different countries, and we were on this boat that had a lot of people from different countries. And I could hear them speaking in their language, and the word that seemed to reappear everywhere that seems to be universal is okay. So I kept hearing okay. So let's see. Oh yeah, hold this. No, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So this is just a giant O, and then all the rest is filled in, and then there's a giant K. and all. This is actually, these quilts all end up looking kind of tribal to me. And southwest, not southwest, northwest is kind of these colors and this kind of little space that looks like a raven too. So this is my okay quilt. And then it was winter, and this was a really rainy winter here. Did you guys think it was? So I said, well, then we're just gonna do hygge, which is a Danish word for being cozy, and I think it's kind of becoming more used here in the United States. So I did hygge. So this is the word hygge, but I can't read it because it's upside down. And it's in kind of lowercase sort of cursive, but it's H, here's the H, and there's a Y, G, another G, and an E. That's hygge. So that's, yeah, okay. So we're winding down. How many do we have left? Oh, 2 more, okay. So I had done the one with Morse code before, and my Scandinavian heritage was kind of coming through, and one of the words that we use quite frequently is usta, yeah. So, you know, it's sort of all purpose. It can be excitement, or you can't stand something or something. Anyway, so if you hold it like this, it's Morse code. So here's usta one direction, and here's it another way, and another way. I'm gonna hire out to the CIA and do like that. And then finally, I had started a Christmas quilt, and it kind of technically had problems, so I decided I would finally finish it. So this is the last quilt in my series so far, and this should be very easy to read. Santa, yeah. So don't cut bias strips when you want to do something like this where they just lay down straight. It was too stretchy, so that technically was a bit of a, I should have jagged the whole thing. Anyway, I got it done. So that's my word quilt series, and since then I have found out there is an actual word that defines hiding words in plain sight. It's steganography. So if you guys apply that too, I could see you have some of that going on, but steganography is my new vocabulary word. So thank you very much. Is there anybody I can answer questions?
Somebody else wanted to know, call them ciphers. Maybe considered ciphers.
Perhaps. I never considered that, but sure. Oh, yeah, I don't know. But yeah. Okay, I had to write it down on my cheat sheet. So it's STEGANOGRAPHY. So it's kind of like stenography, but steganography. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you consider doing a book with all of these, it would be wonderful.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been suggested to me. I just don't know about doing the book myself. I mean, if somebody else wanted to.
But if you have photos of all of them, you can submit them to Blurb, BLURB, and they make
Oh, well, thank you.
photo books for you.
Oh, well, that would be a good, probably a good idea. Better than what I do. Yeah.
Do you make a paper pattern first?
Well, so I make a transparency, I call them, of the actual quilt that I want to make more or less the size, and I get the word on there and then I fill in either with some lines or I do it as I'm going. But, so I don't literally have a pattern for each piece. I just have this big thing that I can see through. And then I pin that to my background fabric, my big piece of, like, for instance, the, well, I don't even see one right now. But whatever the backgrounds are, so I pin it on there, and then I can cut my fabric with the shape in it. Because I'm so abstract, I don't have to be perfect, and I'm not piecing things together where you have to have a nice seam and get everything to lay down well. So I do have a pattern that I do that transparency while I'm drawing things, but other than that, yes.
And so my question is, how much is done on a machine and how much is hand stitched by you?
Just about 100% done on the sewing machine. I really, I don't have time. Well, I mean, I just, so I have to sew the binding down by hand because I don't want it to show through. And most of my binding steps that makes the edge nice are what I call invisible, so they're on the back. Yeah, so there's one. Anyway, yeah, I do like my sewing machine. Myrtle Sue is one of them. I have Lucy, and then I just got from the estate sale, Miss Susie. So anyway, I do like this one. So I guess we're getting close to the. Oh, sure.
We had one question from Zoom. Do you sell your quilts?
Well, I do, but I kind of want to keep this collection together until after next summer because I'm going to go traveling in Alaska and do sort of this presentation there. And then after that, then I will. But yes,
Thank you.
but not quite yet. Yeah.
I have a question. I just have a comment. This is such a reaffirming idea that you started with. And that you decided to do.
Thank you. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to say to you is, yeah, if you've got an idea, it might turn into be a really good idea. So just see where it leads you. Because look, I mean, that's what I had no idea, preconceived thoughts of what would happen. I just wanted to loosen up and have some parameters while I was doing it. So yeah.
If I could just try to loosen up, then you don't have nice squares to make it good and flat. Don't you have trouble making it flat?
I'm a very good seamstress. So that was my initial trouble. I couldn't throw together a bunch of poorly made squares. I just it was out of my wheelhouse. I just needed to still be a good seamstress. So no, I know how to do it without making bad squares. Pardon me? Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, no, that's right. I do have to. I am a lot. Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Janine will be here, come up and see her quilts. Please do more shopping, bargain basement prices. I want to thank Linda Penny and Michelle who just helped me with this whole setup. Well, next meeting. So let us know if you like it live or on Zoom or, we're trying. Okay. Bye, you guys.
Yes.